working on a Black Knight today. Got called. The guy said he wanted the tune-up. I'm not quite sure what that means, but the game doesn't run. Here, let's close this up and turn it on. Nothing. But if you watch, did you see the flicker on the display? Watch it flicker. See that? You can see the digit kind of come on. Not so much on that one, but look at this one again. See that? It's trying to run. I think the blanking is keeping it down. And you know, I'm just looking. I don't see any battery corrosion, though this battery holder certainly almost makes me scared when they're this close to this 40-pin interconnect. But if you look at the interconnect, look at the pins, you can really see that they're messed up. Like right here, right above my finger, it's like missing the pins. Look, you can see it. They're like not even there. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with that. Now, this was an era with Williams System 7 where the chip sockets are of good quality. So it's not like the earlier System 6 stuff where you get these Scanby sockets. So usually that's not a suspect problem. But I can see that this thing's had some work. Like this is socketed, 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 socketed. A lot of stuff is socketed that wasn't socketed from the factory. So we could have other problems, but let's start with the interconnector and replace that first. Now with the board out, getting a closer look at this 40-pin. Oh my God, this thing is whooped. I mean, just look at it. Half the pins are just plain missing. I can see daylight through there. Oh God. Yeah, I'd say that 40-pin connector's had it. Let's look on the back side of this board. I don't know, like hacks or anything. Standard cracked solder joints right where my thumb is. You see the concentric circles around the pins. The reason why this happened is Williams used, like, if you look at these pins, they're like actually round. They're not like more conventional Molex male pins that are square. So what I believe they did is they just had like a wire spool that they put them through and then they cut them off. The problem is they cut them too close to the solder meniscus. The meniscus is a little mountain that comes up around the point that they're soldering. And if you cut it into the mountain, that means it compromises the solder joint. You're cutting the meniscus, not just the pin, but the pin and the solder around it. The meniscus gets cut, and then it's what causes these to crack. They just cut them too close using this style. You can see they're all these have that issue, like every single one. So we've got a little driver board work to do. Okay, so I'm using a solder depullet to get this out. A lot of people use their Hanko. I don't know, I find this, frankly, just as easy to get the solder out using this. You know, the one thing about the Hanko is they don't last forever. This thing in my hand, I think, costs like $5. Hankos are like, you know, $200 or $250, whatever they are. So if I got a situation where I can use this thing, I use it. It goes pretty quick. I mean, I'll have this whole thing done in a minute. Put the new 40-pin interconnector. You can see, I can't see daylight through there because the pins are all in nice shape. Well, because they're brand new. Also right on the top when it was replaced. And then on the back side, I resolder all the pins. Notice how I like to put the little dots. See the dots? You see how they're all little dots? I may not do the key pin, but they're all little dots. That's how I like to resolder the pins. I think it's the cleanest look and it works the best. So I did that to all the little male connector pins, you know, all these things on the back side of the board. Another thing on this driver board is the lamp matrix resistors. These are 5 watt 27 ohm resistors. These are really baked. Matter of fact, some of them, hear it, loose. See, that one actually desoldered itself from the board. It got so hot. This usually happens for one reason, is that somebody turns the game on, or the game crashes, or the game doesn't boot up right, and the blanking signal is in a weird state, and it basically puts 24 volts through this thing, and it just bakes it. If the game is running and in the track motors are in play and everything is working fine, you shouldn't get these resistors all baked like this. This happens when there's some kind of problem, and again, it's probably related to a bad one of these. So I'll resolder these. I'll check the values, make sure they're 27 ohms, replace as needed, resolder all the solder joints, just clean it up. And I also remove the CPU board because, again, I want to check things, and somebody has done what I just did to the driver board. You see how these are all resoldered? See the nice little round beads across the header pin solder joints? None are cracked. All nicely done. They even did the 40 pin down here. So somebody has worked on this. Pins look pretty good. I'm going to shine them up with my wire brush a little bit to give them a nice little luster. But looks good. We have the RN style sockets. Those are good quality sockets. And they pass my finger test. That is, I can't remove the chips with my fingers. So I think we're good on the CPU board. The board's put in. I put in a remote battery holder. I just don't like this battery so close to the 40 pin connector. It's just an accident waiting to happen. Because we replaced the batteries, it should come up in audit mode when we boot it up, if we did everything right, and if there was nothing, if this was really the only problem. These are a 40 pin interconnector. So we should see 0 on the LED. Let's see what happens. And nothing. We got some bigger problem here. Ooh. Now we got an error code 6. An error code of 6. Let's see what that is. Error code of 6 says IC14 game fault. IC14 is one of the game ROMs. And damn, I don't have a spare with me. I think this is 14 up here. These are the two flipper ROMs. Now I booted it up, and it was actually in a track mode, and we come up with fault 1, which is IC13 RAM failure. Wow. So this thing's like all over the map. You see here, look, it's in a track mode. And then it just locked up. Let's try it again. Track mode, score displays, and then it dies. So we got some problems on this CPU board. Game is running in track mode, and it's not crashing. So what did I do? Well, I didn't put a new game ROM in, and I sure didn't replace that memory that code was telling me on the CPU board. I'll tell you what I did do. This game has 2 PIAs. These are the peripheral interface adapters. One is for the sound, and the other one is just for general peripheral interface, mostly for the score displays. The one that was in there is this AMI one. I believe we've had this discussion before about these AMI PIAs and how crappy they are. They just don't last. They don't die. So these 2 PIAs were already socketed. So just on a whim, just on a hunch, again, I guess experience is kind of my teacher, that these AMIs just always seem to be problematic. I replaced it with another brand of PIA, and guess what? Game's running fine. Just that one PIA was causing all those problems. Amazing. Well, I mean, the interconnects too. I mean, these things were shot. There's no doubt. I mean, look at it, man. They're missing pins. Clearly, that was a problem. Ouch. Look at those. It's terrible. But there you have it. These stupid AMI PIAs. I hate these things. Try game. Hard to play one hand. Man, I'm bad at this game. Play these things one-handed. But anyways, you get the point.